course, I'm gonna jump back in and start looking at things. Ghosty boy, got an upgrade. Legion too, but Legion is what it is. I want to go over the patch notes. I also want to do some creations. I already got that open. We'll go over that. I also want to go over a couple of these. Let's see. Not doing a Jeff the Killer thing again. Wendigo original killer concept, very unique power. We have seen, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 5. I've seen 5 Wendigo killer concepts. It's not really original if it's something that already exists in the world, you know what I'm saying? A Wendigo is not original. If you would have created your own different type of Wendigo that didn't exist and made your own creation and all of that and named it something else, that would be original. Originality means that it doesn't come from the masses or the populace, you know? It's not an original Freddy concept because Freddy is already a concept. A Wendigo is already an urban legend and all of that in a concept. Oh, you could even stretch the lines of everything and call Hag the Wendigo. Because she kind of fits the bill of the Wendigo. More closely to urban legends of witches and actual hags and things like that, but you could get away with calling the hag a Wendigo based off of just Wendigo lore. The only difference is her location. She would be like a swamp Wendigo. But anyway, let's see what this original killer concept is. And I'm expecting actual originality. This should be so good, it should be so well thought out, and it should be so original that it just blows your mind away, or at least makes you think, hey, this ain't right, this ain't straight. You use the Dead by Daylight Hurt creator and the killer creator to create this. So 1 is no longer original because you used an actual format like this. That's not original. Original works means it's built from the ground up for the most part. You can use, like an engine or something that somebody's put together because you need creation tools and things like this. But the only thing here you're doing is following the template that's already available. This is from the website. These are things. This is a thing. The picture doesn't look like it's drawn by you. It looks like it's from something. All of these pictures looks like they're from something. This one could possibly be drawn. But these two look like they're from something. So, I mean, how is this original in any shape or form? Correction, the mimic sounds would only be grunts of pain. Well, if there's mimic sounds, then there's a lot of games that have that, especially the butterfly effect games, because I can't think of them right now. Like Until Dawn and all of those stuff that have the mimic sounds and all of that. But let's see. The Wendigo. Keep in mind that you should never name something after a particular thing, because if the behavior team adopts the Wendigo, they can no longer make any other Wendigo killers. So name your killer, I don't know, the Devourer. Or something else relative to its lore and all of that. I don't know, Mountain Dweller. stick percher, loathsome dung eater, for example. Calling something a loathsome dung eater instead of calling it, something by its name leaves the same thing. Calling a group of something, for example, demigods, means that you can open this up, or calling a group of something killers. And another group called survivors. As long as you don't name something killer or name something survivor, the name rings true. You can have multiple Wendigos and things of that particular lore. But once you name something a specific name, aka the Trapper, you cannot really incorporate traps anymore. That is, he takes that role. So, again, if you name something what it is, the Wendigo, you can no longer, behavior could no longer come up with any type of Wendigo idea. So if a movie comes out or something that's a box hit and they manage to get a contract for it, they're going to have to deactivate yours and replace it with something else. It means yours is going to go poof, and all the time and effort spent on it is going to go poof on both sides of that aspect. Why Michael Myers is called The Shape and not just Michael Myers. That's why they all have, side names, because it gives them the ability to adjust and change or add in other things when it comes down to it. Either way, the Wendigo, movement speed's 4.6, terror radius is 24. You obviously, I see where your originality's coming from. Your originality's coming through, and by being original, you're not being original. It looks like you're trying to, essentially buff your killer and make them and get rid of, all the fine details and openings and everything like everybody else has, while also bringing in some sort of unique power. And it's not going to work. Your base speed's 4.6, your tear radius is 24. Keep in mind that at the bare minimum, the bare minimum, every 8 meters per second of speed, or not every 8, every 2 meters per second to 0.2 meters per second of speed, you should lose anywhere from 4 to 8 meters per second of tear radius. Now they set the standard at 28, 4.4, 28 meters of tear radius. So for you to have 24, you would have to add or subtract an additional 1, and your killer should be at 4.3 meters per second of movement speed in order to have a 24 meter tear radius. But at the bare minimum, should at least have 4.4 from the base. And it's a medium height killer, which means it's going to be smaller than the bigger killers and all of that, which makes even more sense for your movement speed to be lower. Difficulty. Hard. I doubt it's going to be hard difficulty, especially because PTB and all of that came out and redefined what everything is. But I never guarantee you, not even by old standard, this killer is going to be hard. Powers Devourer. The Wendigo is an apex predator of human flesh. At the start of the trial, the Wendigo may choose a territorial lair by setting a marker at the desired location. What, do you just have control of the map and you click some shit, or do you hold a button and post where that shit is? Like, come on. We all know that's not how Dead by Daylight works. You're either going to have multiple boroughs around the map that you can use whatever power you have with, or the basement is going to be your home, or the main building is going to be your home. So you got basement, you got main building, and then you have different boroughs like the saw boxes scattered around the map. That's really your only options. If you want to make it to where you can place your own stuff down, then it better be indicative to your power. And it must disappear or have, a limited amount of uses, or be something that survivors can destroy or pick up, aka a trap, or a temporary replacement, aka any of the killer's powers. It could be like a crow that you can put down that disappears over time. It can be a trap that stays there until disturbed, or something like any other powers, like a huntress's hatchet. It's a temporary existence. When it's thrown down, it does something and then it disappears. But you still want to stay within the confines of the game while trying to make something unique. I mean, you can put it down and make it like a demo's portal if you want, but you just got to keep in mind that, how fast the demo's portals can get destroyed and use wise and things like that. His portal's for teleportation, and he has to put 2 down in order to connect between the 2. There's setup time and everything between that. So keep that in mind. This location will become its home base. If a survivor is put into the dying state with the Wendigo special attack, they will be dragged to this location in a streak of motion that will leave only leaves or dust in its wake. What the hell? This location be revealed once a survivor has been drugged to it once. For the survivors to counter this effect, they must set the lair on fire using a torch. These torches will spawn in 4 random locations around the map. No, you can't have a hidden lair that can only be found or activated or burned by a survivor after a survivor is already being held captive there, and then make finding the torches for the specific lair random. After the lair has its activation effect, the torches should have an activation effect, and survivors should know where the torches are. As a matter of fact, the survivors should already have the goddamn torches, or have the ability to see that there are torches on the map from the beginning of the map, so they can identify who your killer is and be prepared for what's coming next. Torches shouldn't just randomly light when a layer spawns in, you know what I'm saying? A torch that's lit's gonna stay lit the entire time. They're gonna be a huge beacon of light. They're gonna put up, a huge amount of that. Especially on the darker maps, they're gonna be like beacons. So no, I don't agree that they should be able to be randomly placed all around the map. Survivors should be able to see them, at the bare minimum, within like 16 meters of them or something like that. Their auras should be revealed. 2, if you want random locations and to specify a specific amount of things like that, that's what add-ons are for. Add-on does something that boosts the killer's ability, the negative. Then there's an associated negative with them. Survivors' locations are scattered or torch locations are scattered randomly around the map. Then add a negative, or add another positive, and then add the negative effect that, the nest can be seen by survivors at all times. But the torches are random, and then give yourself another positive and make it like an iridescent. Just make it, scale worthy and worthwise. When you said unique, I really wasn't expecting much, because this isn't unique at all. Only thing you're doing is making survivors have a tool to deactivate your particular layer, as opposed to being able to walk over and dismantle it by hands. Then you're making it to where you can pick up a survivor and teleport that survivor to said layer. After they know where your particular layer is, which I see why you're trying to hide the activation of that, but I mean, setup time is a thing when it comes to Dead by Daylight. You shouldn't be able to put your layer down in the basement also, or any time around generators or anything like that. That's is an obvious no-no. So it's gonna have to be hidden over in the corner of the map or something like that, where survivors generally wouldn't search. And if you want to take that setup time, there's perks like Corrupt Intervention and all of that would allow you to do that. You play Corrupt Intervention, you go all the way to the opposite side of the map where the Corrupt Intervention's taking place, you put your nest down in the corner of the map over there, or you can put it over by an exit gate maybe, or over in some random corner of the map, or some hiding spot that, you know, becomes meta. And then you go on a hunt. That's what it should be. You're a setup killer. At least you have to set something up before you start playing the game in order to get that little bit of value. Play like any other setup killer. If a hag puts traps down at the beginning and a survivor boldly walks through them, then that's the end of that, you know? Your setup's gone. You either pursue that survivor and down them as quickly as possible, trying to save as much traps as possible, or you ignore them and you set up elsewhere while you still have that time. You gotta hold 2 minutes to set up with Corrupt Intervention, and as long as you keep your eye on the other 4 generators and all of that that are closest to you, and middle buildings and everything like that, and set your traps appropriately, you ain't gotta worry about that shit. These torches will spawn random locations around the map and will refresh in 60 seconds if taken. That's another issue. 60 seconds to refresh if taken. So if a survivor, I'm assuming, has to drop their item to pick up this torch. So they drop their item, they pick up this torch. Killer's on their ass, whatever. They get downed, and the survivor with the torch, let's say, gets sent to the nest. And let's say it's random and exactly how they say it is. That torch no longer exists for 60 seconds. So if they just had a dog shit spawn, and the torches are like, you know, Yamioka Estate, and the torches are all on the opposite corners of the map in the other area, just, you know, gone, and there's one torch over in this particular area, because I'm assuming you're going to make it to where your killer can see the torches and all of that, because, well, that's how this is seemingly to go. The question becomes, you know, if you sit your nest down and all of that, and you go after whoever's carrying the flame to try and destroy the nest, you're literally deactivating, you know, that particular torch for a minute. You only get 2 minutes to rescue that survivor. So essentially, the easy way to counter this killer-wise would be to actually put the nest down in front of wherever the farthest torch is, you know, farthest away from the other torches. Sit that shit down over there, down the survivor, over in that particular area, wherever that is, because, I mean, you know, you're gonna have survivors and all of that. And then just wait. As soon as the survivor picks up the torch to try and burn the nest, you knock the hell out of that survivor, and then that torch over there is gone for 60 seconds. And all the other torches are going to be on the opposite side of the map, so survivors are going to have to randomly stumble upon torches on the opposite side of the map, and then run all the way across map to save this survivor. You see what kind of problems this is going to have. I see that the special attack is next, so I will wait and see what the special attack is to even see if this is even a good idea to incorporate. Once a layer is burned, it will take 40 seconds for the Wendigo to place a new layer marker. And that's the thing, it's a layer marker. So you're literally just walking up and going, boop, done. It's not something that you have to take the time to put down or take the time to build or anything like that. You literally just point and click. There. I want a nest there. There needs to be setup time. There needs to be a burn time. There needs to be more details incorporated into this unique concept that you're saying. It's not unique at all. This is the same equivalence of the guy having the dire wolves that carry you to a hook. At least there's, you know, a movement between the things. This, if you down them with, let's see what the special attack is. You essentially get teleported with the survivor over to a nest. Special attack. After a 1-second charge, the Wendigo scrambles on all fours to the chosen location. This can include a wall or a ceiling. I've already went over so many issues about ceiling and wall crawling. Look at any previous video that incorporates that to hear my thoughts on that. And after 1 second of aiming, will leap toward a specific direction. During the leap, the Wendigo appears as a streak of smoke. It says special attack, but nowhere in there does it say that the leap does any sort of damage or how it does damage. Because you're telling me that the Wendigo, you hold for 1 second, you'll go on all fours. And then an additional second, so in 2 seconds, you can go down, and then you can jump and leap towards a specific direction. That's the only thing you're telling me. And they turn into a streak of smoke as they leap. You're not telling me anything about the actual leap attack, or if the leap, you know, breaks things, if she can land on things with it. Or they, I guess I should say. Or anything like that. You're not telling me anything about this particular leap. This is supposed to be a unique concept, but you're failing to explain yourself properly, like everybody else that tries and thinks that they've made a great concept. This is a standard problem. This is why people shouldn't add unique or anything to their things, because we're expecting a unique experience. This is not a unique experience. The only thing you've said thus far is that your killer can leap. Well, your killer has a low tear radius. They can leap. And if you take somebody out with a leaping attack, you teleport them to wherever your marker set previously. That's it. You haven't told me what these nests or anything even do. The speciality of the nest, the causality, the status effects the nest might do. You know, you haven't done anything unique with the, you've done nothing unique with this actual concept that you have. This is not any type of original killer. This is a Wendigo. This isn't original by any means. The power is not a very unique power at all. It's just a teleportation power. You down somebody with this, it allows you to teleport there. To be frank with you, instead of putting your nest on the opposite edges of the map, it'd actually be better just to plop your shit down by wherever the fuck the hooks are. Around that area. If you play an add-on or if they play add-ons to get the hooks near kill shack, you're golden. You plop your shit right outside of there. You do the thing, bam. It puts them all the way over by kill shack, and they can't move. That survivor is locked down and out of the way. A survivor then has to find a torch or already previously have a torch on them to go and save that particular person. Thing about it is, as long as this killer lies in wait and just claps the cheeks of whoever the hell's going over to save them, basement's right there. So you're down a survivor trying to save that particular survivor. Bam. And then you pick survivor up, you take them down into the basement, and you hook them. If you manage to get 2 survivors, the game is essentially over. Because now somebody else is either going to have to run into the basement to save that survivor, or find some sort of torch and risk having the same thing happen to them. My only question is this nest considered the same as a hook? Will like make your choice or something like that, or any of the other perks work in this particular aspect? I mean, if it does, then I understand that it can get really, really stupidly overpowered. If not, then instead of putting it near a basement hook, you can literally just plop your nest in between 2 scorch hooks and hook a survivor on the scorch hook and run the perk that, when somebody gets pulled down from a scourge hook, you can see the auras and all of that of all the other survivors. You can also run Devour and just stay out of the way and let them get the unhook and then retunnel your efforts if it comes down to that as well. There's a lot of ways you can play this for it to be OP and essentially not fun for survivors. It's the same as a basement camping Bubba. You see it happen, all you can do is shake your head and say scumbag and say, alright, dude. And then go about and try to gin rush the absolute Christ out of everything so he can't take another person down the basement and camp them. Because even basement camping Bubba should at least get 2 people down at the bare minimum. Because camping builds are OP, especially when you have like a camping endgame build, where you stand behind a window instead of standing in basement and you look at the stairs. And as soon as a survivor tries to go down, you just bamboozle the window and then you walk down with your chainsaw revving and you fuck shit up. Even if a survivor tries to use borrowed time and all of that, you're just trading at that point. You got another survivor down, you knock them down, and then you can easily chase and retunnel the other survivor originally, because they're going to be in their second phase, hook them, send them on their way, and then go back. And if they're trying to heal or save that other survivor, possibly even get more value off of that. Or you can just stand in front of that survivor for 2 minutes and let them be gone. Keep in mind, if you get a very, very quick down on a particular survivor and the other survivors aren't doing generators immediately, you can escape with them only getting 3 gens done or 3.5 gens in. If you get a terrible experience, then they're going to be 4 gens in by the time their first survivor dies. After that, though, you have free reign to use whatever build that you want to try and intercept another one and send them to the oblivion, or set up your endgame build. Because, I mean, you could probably get a very sick, nasty Rancor kill. So you can have a camp kill at the beginning. Obviously you're going to want to run like Fire Up or something for speed. But a quick kill in the beginning. Then locate the obsession. So fuck the rest of them doing generators. Locate the obsession. As soon as you find the obsession, knock them down, mori the hell out of them. When that gen gets completed, all you gotta do is slug the survivor and then just wait till the gen pops. After that gen pops, get the mori in, and then if you're running, heck, you could even run No Way Out, as a matter of fact, because you would still have one unique hook. That'd be 15 seconds, and if you're running Fire Up and NOAD with the one hit downs, you'd have a very, very significant amount of speed and one hit downs. So you could technically just head to one of the exit gates and hope you get lucky. If it's a smaller map, you can probably just see what exit gate you need to pressure. And then clap cheeks and try to pick up a third there if you have a fast enough build. So you would want to run, honestly, corrupt intervention might not be too terribly bad because it forces them to come in, and since it's a Bubba, they have no choice but to gen rush. I don't know. You're definitely going to need NOAD. You're definitely going to need like Fire Up or some other type of speed perk. Those two are mandatory. You're probably going to want to run Rancor to Moria Survivor and get them out of the way as quick as possible. And then your fourth perk, you're going to want to generally stop survivors from leaving. The only problem with that is if you Mori, Blood Warden doesn't activate, so you can't stop them that way. No Way Out will only give you like 15 seconds worth of exit gate blocking. It's something very minor. I mean, it's good, but it's not like super good. But I mean, you know, if somebody doesn't know what No Way Out is, they might run away from the exit gate. And you might be able to push something there. What other perk could you work? I don't know. You would have a free perk essentially that you could use for the in-game build. There's probably a perk that fits the build that I'm not thinking of right now, as I just literally woke up. But something like that would fit that in-game Bubba basement camping build. So essentially, basement camp one out. If they're aware that you're camping basement, of course they're going to be getting gens done faster. If one survivor elects to come to that basement though, and doesn't do a gen, you have so much pressure. You're looking at 2 generators as opposed to 1 generator to push. But let's say survivors play the game perfectly. They're not like meta toolbox users or anything like that, but they just play perfectly. They all go to gens and all of that. If you tunnel somebody out by camping, they should have roundabouts enough time to get 4 gens done. So that gives you essentially 1 gen, if they don't all run together to 1 gen. But that gives you like 80 seconds, probably looking at 44 seconds, because there'll probably be 2 on 1. But worst case scenario, it'll be 33 seconds. So anywhere from 33 to 80 seconds, depending on what the survivors do, to locate the obsession. Obviously, if you run by a survivor and they're out in the open and are not going to give you a hard chase, slug them, chainsaw their asses down, and then keep moving. Because, I mean, your next play should be getting that damn obsession. Whether you're downing them and leaving them there slugged or doing, you know, whatever else needs to be done, you need to find the obsession. Bitter Murmur, things like that might help. That could be a nice 4th perk to use. Not entirely sure. But I mean, you know, it'll give you more of an educated guess. I don't know. There's a lot of perks that you can use that gives you things. Discordance would be a good one. If survivors fuck up and two survivors works on one generator at the beginning and another survivor's working on a separate generator and you chasing down another survivor, it's gonna take them an extra 4 seconds. So that's added on to the end of the game that you'll have to do whatever you need to do. Plus travel time. 4 seconds plus travel time. So I mean, you're gonna have more pressure on them than they're gonna be able to pressure you. Is what that comes down to if you run an appropriate build. There's other builds you can run. But I mean, when it comes down to it, the choices are yours and yours alone. Anyway, back to this concept that I've actually lost interest in because it's not unique, original, or anything by any means. All of this is going to basically have to be redone, but I guess I'll continue to just brisk over it and go to the next thing, at least to the next perks. Secondary ability Prowl. When the Wendigo enters Prowl, its tear radius is reduced to 4 meters. Then what's the point in giving it the reduced 24 meters tear radius if it has a secondary ability that can make it Prowl? Now you're just incorporating Ghostface into that shit and keeping the tear radius low. Well, the Wendigo has specific tear radius. It is known to mimic the sounds of its prey when within 32 meters of the Wendigo. Survivors may hear grunts of pain or sounds of survivors being struck or downed randomly. And it's going to be annoying because you're going to look at your screen if you hear a survivor getting hit or downed or something like that. You're just going to drag their attention very briefly to that. They're going to look at their goddamn thing to see who went down, and they're going to see that nobody went down. Hearing grunts of pain, sounds of survivors being struck and going down, and all of that is going to get annoying playing against this killer. So, this entire concept, again, isn't unique or anything else that I haven't seen already. And it's worse because it's not even explained. Again, what you have here is a polished herd. They went through, looked, used the tools online to make it look good, make it look, spaced out and everything like that. But they didn't put any type of effort or anything into it to make it worthwhile. What you should have done is listed something like this, then underneath explained all of the extra details. You list the basic things here, what the killers, the overview, the power, but you didn't separate overview, power, special attack, secondary ability, all that other stuff, perks. You list it all here, and then underneath you continue to expand on your concept to explain all the things that weren't listed up top because you had limited space, instead of trying to shove a concept into a limited area. That's not going to work. No matter who you are or how much of a genius you are, you're not going to be able to shove an entire concept into this small ass space that you have here without expanding it and going on. That's a problem. So in the future, anybody that wants to use this to make it look all nice and shiny, keep in mind that you still have paperwork to do underneath of this. This is not the end, or you're going to have a polished turd. Hex. At least it's not a regular perk, a hex, and a scourge hook. At least it's just a hex and 2 regular perks. I do respect that. At least they didn't go off of the same damn shit that everybody else has been doing here recently. But hex, cannibalism. Power fueled by flesh. Once per trial, after a survivor is sacrificed, their bones may be used by the entity to restore a previously cleansed hex. Well, it should be a previously cleansed totem. Because, I mean, if you're hexes like Hex Pentimento and things like that, you know, the rekindled totems cannot be rekindled. But I mean, you would hope to have like a dull hex or something like that if you're running like Undone to be able to recleanse those too, not just specifically a hex. Again, you can state here that a previously cleansed totem to pop up, but then at the bottom explain that, you know, hexes take precedence, and if you don't have any hexes or anything like that, or hex pentimento, it doesn't stack with, and it'll just cleanse a dull totem back to an active totem, or a hex pentimento totem, it'll fix it back up into a dull totem, or whatever unique interactions that you would want. That should be the end of it. The killer may press the active ability button near a dull totem to reactivate the most recently cleansed hex. The reactivated totem will have only one skull and is protected by the entity from detection by a survivor perk for 120 seconds. That's not how that works. Again, why design a perk and then immediately within the perk try to protect the perk from a survivor coming and re-cleansing that shit? Again, Hex Pentimento. Blatantly obvious where the Hex Pentimentos are being popped because a survivor's already been to that area. Not only are you trying to make it to where you can pick the position of said perk, so you're essentially making yourself a Hex Undyne, except you get to pick the location of a particular totem that you can use. Which, again, ain't very savvy. Because if you look at Hex Pentimento, yes, you can relight them, but you're still locked to a specific, you know, place. Because, I mean, damn, if I get a shit totem spawn and all of that, then the first thing I'm going to look to do is tunnel out a survivor so I can get that totem up as quick as possible. Or I'm going to run a Mori to where I can, you know, Mori one survivor at the end. I'm pretty sure sacrifice perks count towards Moris as well. But if they don't, then, I mean, it's just as simple as standing and just tunneling them out. Not hooking perks, sacrificing perks. So again, you're the one that made it a once per trial thing, by the way. So keep that in mind, right? You're the one that made it a once per trial thing. Also keep in mind that anything that is token related or builds up over time will reset back to 0. So if I have a full Devour Hope, they completely yank that. I sacrifice the survivor and then I put that Devour Hope back up. It's going to reset at 0 tokens and you're going to have to try and rebuild that back up. That's how those work. So, once per trial after survivor is sacrificed, their bones may be used by the entity to restore a previously cleansed hex. That should be basically the end of that. That's it. It's the entity is going to pick one of your random hexes that you have, and they're going to slap that shit back down. Now, they might give you Hex Undyne, which is gonna suck, but I mean, if you're running Hex Undyne and you're trying to run this perk as well, you're essentially trying to run a double Hex Undyne, so shame on you anyway. You could get your Ruin back and be happy. You could get Devour of Hope back and be not so happy. You can get Corrupt Intervention back and possibly even fuck up the entire game, or you could be not happy depending on, what's going on. I mean, Corrupt Intervention in a 3-gen situation would be amazing and terrifying at the same time. So there's different scenarios where different things can happen. However, giving you the ability to place which dull totem it goes on to is not so savvy. After survivors do generators, unless they want to have like a beacon of hope where they can place a boon at, they typically don't try to run back to those areas unless they're trying to loop killer or something like that. So as long as you place your totem in a smart area away from loops but by completed generators, survivors generally have no reason to run over to that side of the map unless you're pressuring them with like a Devour Hope or Ruin, or not Ruin, uh, Noad or something like that, and they got somebody on hook and they're just totem searching. So, if you want to make it a once per trial thing and make it to where things get popped up, which is a very, very strong thing, getting your hex back, which got popped. Keep in mind that you shouldn't be able to choose what hex and you shouldn't be able to choose what totem it goes to. It should just rekindle a totem with a hex on it. You can even argue that whatever hex applied to it could possibly even be nerfed by like 50%. So instead of Ruin having, double the regression rate, it should only have a single regression rate. So it's a lesser because it's rekindled from, something else. So I would even go as far as to say, if you want to leave this jalopy of a boy here, add in the fact that whatever hexes come back are only going to be half as effective to balance it out. Afflicting wounds. Infection is likely. Medkit heals will require 33% more charges to repair a wound. If you're talking about the deep wound status effect, who the fuck uses a medkit to repair the deep wound status effect? What the fuck? If you're talking about the injured state, medkits require 33% more charges to heal a wound from the injured state to the healthy state. Then you definitely need to add in some sort of caveat. Because I mean that, medkits requiring 33% more charges to repair a wound. Keep in mind that if you stack that with that Nephobia and a whole bunch of other things, you're literally going to make a survivor take 32 seconds to repair with a medkit. Once that medkit runs out, that's going to be doubled or doubled whatever's left, etc., etc., etc. But also keep in mind on the flip side of that, it's only medkit heals. It don't apply to syringes, stypic agents, or other survivors healing them. So what you're doing is essentially with this perk making medkits useless. So if you're running just a dog shit medkit, you're not going to be able to heal yourself completely. You'll be able to get like what, 12 seconds? Yeah, a whole like 12 seconds, and then you'll have to find a survivor for the other 4 seconds, or self-care for 8 seconds. So, I mean, well, no, it says more charges. So, not time. I mean, when I said it's for the most part still true, you're still only going to get about 12 seconds and then have to heal for 4 seconds. 12 seconds? 8 seconds. No, 16 divided by 3 would be like 5. So you would have like, you would get 10 point something, like 10.3 seconds or 10.6 seconds worth of heal. So you'd essentially get 10 seconds of heal, and another survivor would have to heal you for like 6 seconds. I mean, sucks for anybody running a med kit, but this particular perk is only really good on teams that all run med kits. And I mean, Franklin's Demise, is a pretty good contender with that. Phobia, a pretty good contender for that, especially with Hemorrhage and everything else, which we'll go over later, being applied to the situation and things like that. So, yeah. Blah 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 blah. Wounds healed without a med kit will leave the survivor sluggish, reducing all repair, healing, and cleansing speeds by 8 or 9% until hook. So, what you have here is a sort of catch-22 situation, and that's not good to have in a perk. You can't essentially make medkit heals impossible unless they have extra charges added to their toolbox, and then punish them for healing without using the medkit. You've made the medkit not apply a full heal unless it's a higher level medkit. So how do you get off saying that, oh, well, if you don't use that medkit that I nerfed for you, you're going to get repair speed and all of these penalties until you get hooked? That's not how that works. You need to add a time limit to this, and you also need to do something to rework this and make this completely fair for a survivor and for a killer. I guarantee you nobody's going to want to run this unless you have like a gank squad with all medkits. But in that case, they're probably running syringes and things like that as well. So again, Franklin's Demise would work a lot better. But you do you. Every killer has kind of a meh perk. You took a meh perk, which should have ended after the 33% more charges to repair a wound. That's where this perk should have ended. And it should have just been a meh perk. You said, this perk's not that good, and then you added more bullshit to it. Stop stacking. Stop stacking. 33% more charges to repair. Make this 33% scaling. Start at like 20%, like 28% or 25%, and then go to 30%. Or 33%, or wherever the hell you want to end it, and leave it there. Don't add this extra crap at the bottom. It don't make sense. Scent of fear. Any survivor within 16 meters of a survivor put into the dying state will have the scent of fear put on them. This will make their scratch marks last 3 seconds longer and highlight in yellow for each interaction. Well, then just put Volt or Locker. Just put Volt or Locker. That is not rushed within 24 meters for the next 30 seconds. So you can get rid of all of this and just throw on Infectious Fright. And essentially, any survivor that's within your tear radius, when you put a survivor into the dying state, will scream, letting you know where they are. There's no need for all of this extra stuff. This is you trying to get greedy with your particular killer. You want the ability to knock a survivor down, pick that survivor up, hook that survivor, and then be able to track where the next survivor is. Stop being greedy. Skill base, skill set, time, patience, experience, all of that determines whether or not you're a good mouse one, or a good hunter, I should say, or pursuer. Stop trying to cut out the skill base. Get rid of this trash. Again, this is not original, because it's a Wendigo. It's not unique in any way. The power is not unique. It's a teleportation. It's essentially Pyramid Head's Cage of Atonement, except for instead of it going to the opposite side of the map and staying away from the killer, you're literally taking them to that particular area. So, Cage of Atonement that you go to, it'll help camping, tunneling, slugging, etc., etc. Then once they're in this cage on the opposite side of the map, you can either camp that survivor, or you can do whatever you need to do, to get that done. Problem you're going to have with this particular power is that if you do this prowling, all this other BS and all of that, on a particular survivor who is on their death hook, and you get him with a leaping attack, or if a survivor that can give up hook states and all of that jumps in front of it and goes down, or something like that, of your leap attack. Or you down a survivor by slugging one, and then you just so happen to leap attack a second survivor. You are literally going to get swooped with that survivor back to your nest, forcefully. There's no way to cancel once you put your nest down, by the way. And it says once it's put down, it doesn't say any place about you being able to set this marker in any other type of different locations. So if your particular base is across the map and you have multiple survivors in front of you, you can't even use your leap attack. You're a mouse one killer. Unless you want to swoop in, take one, all the way to wherever your nest is, and then allow the rest of the survivors to do whatever the hell they want. Being completing generators or doing whatever else that needs to be done. Another thing I want to talk about is, you say you can burn the nest, but the survivor that's over in that particular area, what happens to them? Because you're not going to be able to burn a goddamn nest with the survivor inside of it, or they're going to fucking die. So, can you pull this survivor out of said nest and the nest stay there? Or are you burning the nest and the survivor, I guess, alive, and they're just, not going to die or something? Are they going to get the deep wound status effect when they're saved from a nest? Like, what's exactly going to happen? This needs to be discussed down below on how your nest operates. Because if they can save the survivor without burning the nest, then they're going to do that. They're going to leave your nest on the opposite side of the map. They're going to do whatever gens that are nearest to it, and then they're going to teabag on the other side of the map, and they're going to say, down me, bitch. You're going to down somebody. You're going to get sent all the way to the opposite side of the map, or you're going to have to just slug them. And I mean, heal tech and everything else, and point tech and all the other survivors are just going to be able to outplay you because you're just going to be a mouse one killer. You can't leap. Once they're hit, you can't leap. If you leap, you fuck yourself over and you're teleporting. So maybe rebalance that on both sides. um Oops, I didn't intend for survivors to be stored in the lair. Just that the lair can be placed near a hook using the teleport to prevent flashlight saves or wiggles off. So survivors aren't stored in the lair. When you down them, you teleport the survivor essentially to the lair, and then you can walk with them from where the lair is. Well, then this entire concept needs to be thrown in the trash. That's the whole point of the cat and mouse game, the Tom and Jerry game. Tom chases Jerry, Jerry wiggles out and does whatever he needs to do to survive. If he can get a one up on Tom, trying to take his other buddies, he saves them. If you're getting rid of the aspect of survivors being able to save their teammates, that's a core mechanic of the game that you're literally just getting rid of. Flashlight saves, run Lightborn. Worried about wiggle offs, agitation, and iron grasp. You can get extra speed and you can get an extra 1.8 seconds. So that's an extra 1.8 seconds and additional speed on top of that. There's other perks to help you too. You can run like Mad Grit and have an unlimited amount of swings and pause their timer for 4 seconds when you do eventually hit one of them. There's a lot of things that you can use and a lot of things that you can do in this particular game already to get past this. If the lair itself worked like Pyramid Head's boxes and had to be burned to free a survivor, it'd probably be overpowered. The aura of the lair would be revealed after its first use to hook a survivor. Thank you guys, do very kind. And now we're back to where I started. So again, that's no. And if you get rid of the survivor down aspect and make it to where you can just teleport between them, now you just have a Demogorgon. Literally. Same color, same amount of, skinniness and all of that. The ability to leap and the ability to teleport. Demogorgon. This is what this Wendigo attack uniqueness comes down to. Demogorgon. They could literally just use the same exact code for the Demogorgon in this particular killer. Take his frame, change his head, dye him gray, add a smoke effect. And that's literally what this would be. His nest would be the portals to the under or the upside down. And they would just reskin that. Easy. It's literally just Demogorgon. I'm not going to list it as an alternative killer, though, because it's not polished in the slightest. But that's essentially what it is another demo. What is with people and being on a Buffy the Vampire Slayer kick? Buffy has like straight up like superpowers and shit, right? And if you're gonna add Buffy, at least add Angel. Put them in as a set. Anyway, I just wanted to go over something for the creation, just to kind of precedent something off with. What we're really here for is the Ptb notes. All of your progress from March 29th has been saved onto the other server of the Ptb. So if you've done or gotten something past March 29th, then it's not going to be there. Sucks because the other day I just bought stuff. Features, UI update. Added an indicator to the searching for friends pop-up when loading data. Added an indicator to the searching for friends pop-up when searching for friends. I guess if you're joining a particular person's lobby or something like that from your friends list, I suppose that's when that pops up. Just weird how they put that in. Visual update for the Haddonfield map. That is not a visual update unless the 5.6 one is the one where they redid Haddonfield. I don't know. But the whole Haddonfield map has essentially changed. It's not a visual map update at all. It's an entirely new map update. Everything looks completely different and out of place. Like, it's not the same map. That is way far more than visual. I think visual, I think it's going to be the exact same map, just with slightly updated graphics. Because, I mean, I talked about this before in one of my previous things before the Ptb popped up. Haddonfield is one of those maps that was just a generic map placed down because it was made way back when. They've since then made bigger and better maps and have improved the quality. Some of the old maps needed to, go back and get a touch up to make them more modern. That's what's going to keep this game alive, is keeping the game more modern. You have to keep modernizing things. The stronger killers, the stronger perks that come in, the more you're going to have to update other killers and other perks and everything like that. I didn't even know this public test beta was a thing until yesterday when it was brought to my attention, or I would have played it earlier. General difficulty ratings for survivors have been removed. They're now easiest. Even it's so easy even a caveman can do it. But no, new players can play. Moderate, you need to at least know how to play the basic game to play it. Hard, you need to be able to adapt to this killer's power and also have a decent finisher skill wise. And very hard, you're going to have to adapt to using this particular killer's power. You're also going to have to be a very adept case ender. Is essentially what that goes. Require a high amount of practice and understanding, etc., etc. Inexperienced players will find little to no success playing them. They're getting rid of difficulty tiers because all survivors have the same mechanics. Maybe work on that behavior. I'm just saying, when you have a lanky ass motherfucker that's tall as shit like David King, and you have very small, like petite survivors like Naya, and most of the females maybe give them a little bit of a difference. You know, the survivor I'm playing is taller than the other survivors. Maybe make him run or walk faster, even walking faster. Ever so slightly. Make sense. Make their heights, their body differences, and all of that. Make that a difference. You have the base, so the small survivors and all of that will keep the basic survivor stats. But if I'm, a taller person like David King or any of the lanky ass, super tall survivors, I think I should walk faster because I have longer legs. Because they look goofy as hell being tall as shit and making like half steps. When they're running, they are very awkward when they run. They take up a lot of space and things like that. And I'm not, they might have the same hitbox. Every survivor might have the same hitbox. They might have different hitboxes. I'm not 100% sure on that. I've never actually opened up the program and looked at hitboxes. If they have different hitboxes, then I mean, that's more of a reason to change it. If they all have the same hitbox, then, it is what it is. However, you're going to have times to where, you have clipping where it's actual killer does hit that survivor and makes contact with them, but their hitbox, fucks up and doesn't show that, or not fucks up, but their hitbox doesn't show that it's an actual hit. And then you'll have the problem that I have when I play on any other server that's either lagging, I'm either lagging, or the killer's lagging. Most often, the killer's lagging. And I play a small survivor, and the killer swings all the way off to the right side of me, like away from me, and I take damage. Another thing I wish they would rework. I mean, reworking perks and all of that's good and all, but you need to fix the sensitivity flicks. It's gotten to the point to where it's not even worth, like, you basically want to just fake a 360 or any type of, tactics or anything like that. Like, you either need to give survivors a way to quick dodge that doesn't have any iframes, so I can go to a 360 and then make a dodge to get rid of the sensitivity flicks or something like that, or tone down maximum sensitivity, because a killer shouldn't be able to attack and then flick their mouse to the right and hit me with a full force hit, because they just, as they have their, attack animation, their weapon is just turning in an arc and covers that entire swoop or that entire angle. You can literally lunge attack and flick your mouse and get a whole 360 worth of damage. Generally, people stop at 180 degrees, but you could get a whole 360 degrees and hit that survivor. That is the most frustrating thing that I feel about this game, is that high sensitivity players just don't miss if you try to 360 or window fake. They fall for the window fake and they lunge towards the window, and then they flick their mouse to the right, and the sensitivity immediately pushes them 90 degrees, and they catch you on the end of their lunge. And they're over there celebrating and shit, and I'm like, you didn't hit me there. You literally just used your sensitivity, your over the top sensitivity, and bam, hit me. You want to make it damage, make it partial damage. Give me, something to where if I'm going down and a sensitivity hit me, it's not going to down me. It's going to give me like a timer, a deep wound timer or something of like 10 seconds before I drop. Give me that little bit of extra, running time or speed or something. Because I mean, they went and they hit that fucking window, and as they were hitting the window, they just sensitivity that shit, and then ended up sliding along the window and hitting me. I think I deserve an extra 5 or 10 seconds. You know what I'm saying? Like a bleed out time or a bleed out effect where you get an extra 5 seconds of running time before you fall over. I think that's a worthwhile change for those overextended sensitivity, because if not, they would have hit the window, tried the turn, got a little bit of a turn, missed me, and I would have gotten that 5 extra seconds of runtime anyway, if not more. It'd be a very simple thing. You incapacitate the survivor, keeping them from doing any type of interactions and all of that. Actually, you can even introduce like the disabled status effect, where you can't do anything except for run, and just give me an extra 5 seconds to compensate for them. I ain't gonna say cheating because it's part of the game, but exploiting the game's sensitivity and allowing them to flick that shit. The game is supposed to be kept within a specific realm of possibilities, kind of superpowers, but within the killer's specific abilities too. You shouldn't be able to sensitivity flick your mouse and just sit there and spin 100 times a second with a high amount of sensitivity like that. Tone the sensitivity down some. You ain't gotta get rid of it. Let them make their fast turns and all of that. But they shouldn't be able to get away with falling for my window fake and aiming at a window and then flicking their mouse at the end and continuing that lunge to the right and hitting me. Instead of keeping them a positive hitbox throughout the entire time, maybe have multiple activations. When they first do the swing, give them an activation. When their weapon is midway, you know, where you, the hit point where you have on regular weapons, like towards the middle, going down, have a small where you can make a hit there. And then towards the end, when the weapon is all the way fully extended at the end of the lunge and all of that, have a hitbox there. And then refine it, add and subtract wherever you need. It's just a long drawn out system when you can just tone down the sensitivity a little bit. Like survivors that have the 360s on their cameras and all of that, or do 360s or are on generators with super high sensitivity. They can literally check every fucking angle of that generator instantaneously. Whoop, left, right, back, up, down, left, right, up, down, left, right, with just a flick of a wrist. And the fuck are you supposed to catch a survivor with high sensitivity off guard? Being a stealth killer or a ghost face or something like that. When that sensitivity is just fucking disgusting. Tone the sensitivity down. Just a little bit. I'm not asking for you to hard nerf them or anything like that. I'm saying tone it down to make it more hyper realistic. I know they're empowered by the entity, so they're going to be faster than normal standards and all of that. But I want you to swing a weapon in front of you, like a killer does with a lunge attack. And then at the last second, I want you to act like that survivor just window faked you, and then turn and try and hit that survivor with the same amount of force while keeping that animation. And remember, killers cannot extend their arms to the right and make any type of slashes. You can only swing forward. And as you're swinging forward, I want you to turn and try and hit that survivor that's just window faked you. Do it in your mind, do it in real life. If you have shitty imagination, just try it. When you get to the point to where you actually can hit that survivor, I want you to note the amount of force that you have still left on the end of that. Not going to be a lot of force, and it's not going to really be very damaging. It's not going to be enough to make them bloody and fucking super injured and things like that. It's going to thump them and it's going to hurt, Obviously, you got a fucking weapon coming down on top of your head or hitting you in the back or whatever. But it's not going to be something that makes you bloody and screaming and in pain like the survivors are. Not going to be a full hit. You're not going to get the majority of your power. So, that is an ongoing issue that I wish, again, if they had a custom mode in LAN where you could adjust all of these different things to find a balance on your own, I could then take this custom mode where I have access to be able to change killer speed and everything else. I can take what I've found in the settings, send that to a feedback report to behavior, and say, hey, guys, run a lobby with these settings and tell me how you know. Or I can send it to the community, send it to behavior, send it to everybody, make a video on it, and say, hey, try these settings and see if this benefits the game at all. And run these settings through and try to optimize them to what I'm trying to, say, because I don't have any control to the engine right now to adjust that. I would love to have a custom mode with sliders that I can change what killers do. Maybe increase the killer speed on something that they should have. Make a video on it. Decrease the killer speed and show that you can still get 4 kills and all of that, even with a decrease in speed. Anyway, on to the next topic. Hemorrhage rework. Hemorrhage being reworked is going to be absolutely, positively disgusting. They absolutely put like, oh my god. I agree that if you are bleeding out, if you're not fixing that, bleeding effect, you should definitely take longer to heal. However, the problem that you're going to have with hemorrhage that they didn't address is medkits. If you are putting, gauze and everything else, on your particular body and using alcohol and shit like that while using a medkit, I don't think your healing progress should regress after you are beyond 75% or 80% of a heal while using a medkit. Because that means that, you've poured the alcohol on, you've used the gauze, and you've addressed the wound. You just don't have everything completely sealed. Like you're applying bandage at that moment, and something's interrupted you. So, I mean, you shouldn't be hardcore hemorrhaging and hardcore bleeding after a 75 or 80% of a heal with a medkit. Now, if you're self carrying or, another survivor is just patching you up without a medkit, literally just shoving shit in the wound and just trying to fucking get you to, to a hospital, basic civilian repairs. Where you're just putting like paper towel or some shit or just wrapping that shit or applying pressure to it, applying pressure to it and wrapping it in something and try and stop the bleeding. I understand that, the hemorrhage effect will still take effect because you're not properly addressing the wound with gauze, super glue, things like that. Now, I'm not saying all medkits. I'm just giving you a precedence of what I'm talking about in the situation. I think there should be an add-on that counters the hemorrhage effect on the rework that applies to medkits. While repairing with this medkit, and you are above, 60, 70, 80%, somewhere around that particular line, it could even be 50%, hemorrhage effect, poof, disappears. Now, I know the syringe is a thing, but that's also an auto heal. I'm talking about something while you're actually healing. Iridescent is iridescent. You need something that's like purple or green or something that'll stop the hemorrhage status effect. It's not going to stop bleeding entirely. It's just going to address that particular status effect. But that's something I've been talking about for a long time. You could just have some mystical power or powder that gets rid of blindness and hemorrhage and all the other, effects. Not exhaustion, because exhaustion can't be cured. You just need rest for that. Exposed, I mean, can't be a curable status effect. But small things like, blindness and hemorrhage, things like that can be, repaired, can be fixed. Something like eye drops or something could, decrease at least the timer by like 50%. Anything. And it doesn't have to completely get rid of the hemorrhage. It can just stop the hemorrhage status effect. When healing with this med kit, stops hemorrhage effect for 10 seconds after you reach 50% or something. Anything. I think there's a lot more that they can do with the hemorrhage status effect and all the other status effects in the games to further tune them. This is a good start, though. Don't get me wrong. This is a good start. But I do believe that they can go and incorporate more status effects and rechange them and modernize them to make things better. The community is going to have a fucking heart attack, though, but I think this is a very good rework for hemorrhaging, having the full heal regress, because it never made sense for me from the beginning, and I just kind of accepted it over time. I'm like, if you're actively bleeding out, you're not just going to stay at 99% health, you know what I'm saying? Your literally pools of blood are every fucking where. If anything, you should bleed out faster. If you have the hemorrhaging effect and you're downed, you should bleed out faster. But anyway, your healing regresses at a steady rate when not being healed. Makes this go up in a couple of tiers. Healing regress rate at a rate of 7% per second. That means if you are 90% healed, you'll. Why would they do it at 7% per second and make it 14 seconds to be completely empty? You would think it would take a second's worth of heal per second, or even half a second, since we're talking about regression away. Because, I mean, it takes 16 seconds to heal with a med kit. When we say healing, we're always talking about with a med kit. Self care is different than healing. So healing takes 16 seconds. I don't agree that it should be empty in 14 seconds. Because even if you heal to 15 and some change, in 14 seconds, that shit's gonna just be fucking gone. So if you heal to 15.9, 14 seconds of that, you're back to zero. I don't think. I don't think that that's a good idea. It should be like gen regression. Gen regression is scaled up to be 1 for 4. So if you take 80 divided by 4, it gives you 20. So my phone keeps vibrating. I'm trying to talk over it, but Jesus fucking Christ. It's went off like 8 times. I've gotten 2 calls, I've gotten messages, and a whole bunch of other things. Lost my track of thought. It should be scaled down appropriately. Ruin is a 1 for 2, but we're talking about 80 seconds. So, something like medical wise taking only 16 seconds, a small portion of that, I think it's like 8 16 times 8 is like 80 or some shit like that. Somewhere around there. It's around 8. So looking in that at like an eighth of a time, you know, could change things. But I don't believe that 7% per second is a very good thing to think. I think it should be at minimum 1% per second. Or 1 second. I go off seconds. I don't like the percentages because it just makes it dumb, stupid, and complicated. You should lose 1 second of healing per second, and that's if you're running an add-on, you know, to boost hemorrhage, or you should lose 1 second of healing per 2 seconds. So in essence, it should take you about as long as it takes somebody to self-care to lose your entire heal rate. So it should take 32 seconds, arguable 24 seconds to reset your heal status all the way, because you got to keep in mind that cases are a thing. Unless you're going to make it the way the hemorrhage doesn't reset heal status while being chased, you need to keep in mind that if you're like, okay, let me give you a scenario and then explain what I'm trying to say. You're running to a hook, you pull somebody off of said hook. Let's say whoever the hell the unhooker is has the hemorrhage status effect. The person that just gets pulled off the hook has, you know, one hook, the other guy has two hooks. So the person on the hook tries and heals the person up because, well, they have the hemorrhage status effect. So obviously you want them to get healed first. You're healing them. You get almost to the end, and then the killer comes around the corner and sees the guy that, you know, one hook till death. That guy runs off. Your average chase time is going to be about 20 seconds on that. So unless that person has self-care or something like that to keep resetting his healing and all of that to keep it from going down, by the time he escapes the killer or does anything like that, or jukes the killer or goes down or anything like that, all of that heal rate is now 0. And he has to start over from scratch and spend more time healing. It doesn't sound that bad until you think about 16 seconds worth of healing, or let's say 15 if you get, well, if you get to the end, you might as well just take the hit and just send it. But 10 seconds there of a partial heal, and then 10 seconds again on another partial heal, or you get the full 16. That's 26 seconds, which is way more than a fourth of a generator's worth of time being done. At what point do you say fuck getting healed and you put that time towards a generator? Because the killer's just up your ass nonstop, you know? This is going to make tunneling a lot better too. So any killer who's a tunneling killer just got a super huge buff because you're going to hit a survivor. And if you have anything that decreases healing speed, you can essentially keep that survivor hemorrhaged and bled the entire time, or until that shit wears off. Generally, hemorrhage doesn't go off until the person's healed. And if you apply mangled on top of hemorrhage, you're just going to have this large, just fucking you'll fuck streak. Thatanophobia, mangled, hemorrhage, things like that. And if you stack those hard to heal perks, you essentially can just make a plague build on another killer. And just keep all survivors fucked up. Oni got a super huge upgrade here. Hell, if you run hemorrhage on Legion now, you're gonna have a super big fucking advantage. Not only do they have to mend themselves, then they have to essentially commit to a full heal right afterwards, or they're not gonna be able to, you know, keep that pressure and all of that. So I mean, you've significantly buffed hemorrhage. I never said hemorrhage is a useless status effect. I said that it is one of the less useful ones, unless it's on Oni or something like that. But ain't nobody ever like useless is no, because the blood you leave behind is easy to track. It's super big blood puddles, and they're so frequent that you just follow the blood to wherever the hell the survivor went. But this, what you're doing here to this hemorrhage, is kind of disgusting. So now, not only can the killer track you because the increase of blood drop, unless they remove that. I mean, if it's just regular blood, but the heal regresses and all of that, that's different. I'm assuming that they kept the regular hemorrhage effect of more bleeding and then they added this on top. That is OP as shit. If this is just the effect that it just fucks up your healing rate, then okay. I see what you tried to do. Even though the blood tracking effect and all of that's better. I want to know how this is going to work with the Oni then, though, if it doesn't make you drop more blood. I'll have to specifically look at this whenever it happens to me, because it probably will, and see if I continue to drop more blood. Because these notes don't, it says new effect, but it doesn't say that it is, overriding the other effect or if it's being added on to original. It's very important that you know the implementation of that. Boil over, increase struggling effects by 60, 70, 80 instead of 50, 75, and 100. I will say that 100 is kind of a little much. At 100%, you literally stop killers from walking forward. So, yeah, kind of ridiculous. But I mean, with boil over, literally, you just alternate it from left to right to left to right to left to right. It really didn't do much. But I mean, new players that would completely fucking ruin because they don't know. All they know is they can't really walk forward. So yeah, toning that down was very good for new players. Boilover's wiggle impact is causing players to have significant issues navigating certain maps. Also, latency. I've ran into a issue before. It was off stream that because that person was so laggy and our latency was so fucked up between each other that I wasn't able to move at all. I mean, I guess I was able to move, but I was severely slowed. It felt like I had like a ball and chain on my particular killer. And every time I went to try and hook them, I was just what it felt like. It felt like they were cheating, but they weren't cheating. It was just latency causing an issue. So I have ran into that issue. Decreasing the effects to 80% is definitely the play there. 60, 70, and 80, definitely the play. It makes it better and worthwhile leaving it at level 1 if you have to run it like that. And then leveling it up to the top makes it worthwhile because it's a 20% gain or percentage gain. So yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Actually, on stream, I did run into an issue to where I picked somebody up and I seen the horse symbol and I was trying to walk and I was like, what the fuck's going on? I can't walk forward. And I was like, oh, they have boil over. And by that time, I was like, okay, well, then I'll just do this and this to get to that hook. And I'm pretty sure I ended up dropping them because I didn't notice that they had boil over immediately. It took like 3 or 4 seconds. Circle of Healing, they finally did the smart thing and dropped it to a 50% speed bonus instead of a 75% speed bonus. Makes sense. There's a lot of healing perks in the game, and it didn't kind of make sense to leave it at 75% speed or all of that. Not to mention, if you mix this with other perks and things like that, it causes a little bit of issues with med kits and everything else and gank squads. And I do like how it just dropped down to 50%. It still makes it worthwhile. And I mean, with a 50% healing speed increase, I mean, come on, man, that's not too shabby. I mean, you're looking at, excuse me, at 100% speed, it's going to take you 16 seconds. At 150% speed, you're going to be looking at what? Half of 16. Another 8 seconds, 8 seconds off of that. You're going to be looking at like 8-second heals. That don't seem right. It'd be half of 8. What's half of 8? But now, because that would be a fourth. In this case, every 25% is 4 seconds. So yeah, it would be 8 seconds off the top of a regular heal with a med kit. Again, whenever we say healing, we are talking about med kits. So it'd take you 8 seconds. 8-second heals. That seems more than enough fine. You have to have a med kit, which med kits also can give you bonus to healing speeds as well, so you can still maintain that 75% heal speed with other med kits. You can even go higher. It also prevents the fact that you could get over 200% healing speed if you ran a med kit with the old circle of healing easily. So I do like the fact that it's just an additional 50% speed. And I assume it still unlocks the self-care ability. Self-care ability with an extra 50% speed on top of that would make it take regular healing speed. So, I mean, ain't much really changed there. 100% of self-care, well, actually, no. It's going to make it take 24 seconds. Self-care speed is 200% healing speed. It takes 32 seconds. So if you take 50% off that, it's going to take 150% speed. Which is why the original circle of healing thing didn't make any sense, it taking an additional 50% off. So you would do 16 plus 8 is 24 seconds. It would take self-care 24 seconds to complete, which is 8 seconds over a normal heal. It still makes it worthwhile, I suppose. I want to say that at one point in time, self-care used to increase healing, like, or either it does or it did in the past or something, used to increase healing speed efficiency by like 50% or something like that. But I don't remember. I don't know. There's botany knowledge and a whole bunch of other different perks and things like that as well that you can run to increase this healing speed. Again, this boon is made to just help your team. It shouldn't be carrying your team. So I think 50% I Sloppy Butcher increases the rate at which healing progression is lost by 25%. Oh, so it no longer, so bleeding frequency is no longer a thing, but the healing progression lost is buffed by 25%. 25% plus the, God damn, that is 32% fucking Oh, it's the rate of which it was lost by 25%. So you're going to be getting hit a lot more with that 7%. Gotcha. So you need to know the rate, which was 14 seconds. And then from the 14 seconds, you would add the 25% off of that. So it would take you, instead of 14 seconds to completely go back to zero, it would take like, what, 11 seconds? Something like that. Okay, that makes more sense. But it also makes me realize that, let me put an example out for you. 16 seconds to break from a wiggle from the killer's grasp. With Iron Grasp, it adds an extra 1.8 seconds. Why not use Sloppy Butcher the same way you use Iron Grasp? And make it to where it takes 16 seconds to completely lose your heal progress, so you're losing the same as you're gaining in healing, or even a little bit less, and then use Sloppy Butcher to just take an extra 2 seconds off the top of that. You know what I'm saying? Why not set Sloppy Butcher up like Iron Grasp? It makes a lot more sense. The where by itself, it doesn't, do a huge, amount of damage, but I guess Sloppy Butcher does apply hemorrhage anyway. So it is what it is. But you know what I'm saying? Like, use Sloppy Butcher like Iron Grasp, and then have another effect come in like Agitation to buff that. Set it up like that. Ready. Add-on Z-Block. Modified. Survivors interacting with the Dream Trap suffer for 90 seconds. No longer causes them to bleed when healthy. Beautiful. We have Legion and we have the Ghostface reworks now. This is what we're going to be looking forward to. I also need to think about the build that I want to use today. When I'm playing as a survivor, I might have to run Spine Chill or something to try and counteract this. I don't know. But Legion has a unique tear radius and chase music, which can be modified by mixtape add-on, so you can tell which mixtape the Legions are running versus the sound. Very unique and interesting. I kind of like that. Each successful hit with Barrel Slash now increases the Legion's movement speed by 0.2 meters per second for the remainder of Feral Frenzy. Does he keep his Feral Frenzy move speed, or does it start off at 4.6 meters per second and then scale higher? That's what I want to know. As it's wrote, I assume it keeps its original speed and it just gets faster and faster and faster and faster and faster. New, after 4 successful hits with Feral Slash, the new Feral Slash will put the survivor into the dying state and end Feral Frenzy. Is that 4 successful hit on 4 different survivors, or is that 4 successful hits all together? Is it accumulative? Can it be on the same survivor? Is it the 4 different survivors? And also, this also says that, or assumes that, as soon as you hit somebody with Feral Slash, your Feral Slash timer or your Feral Frenzy timer resets. I've never actually went through Legion's power, but I thought that every time Legion hit, he lost 50% of their power. Like every time they swing, they lose 50% of their power. But I guess every time they hit, the power just gets reset again. When Feral Frenzy ends, the power gauge now starts charging immediately, so it's charging while they're in their exhausted status effect. And waiting. Oh no. So Legion's going to be a constant run and gun style healer or killer now. I kind of like it, but I kind of hate it too, because one, the occasional time I've run into Legion people who literally run up to you, give you the deep wound status effect and their power, and then chase you like a regular killer, confuses me, and I'm like, why? But now they have more of an incentive to play the killer the correct way and chain and make the lobby actually, focus, healing and all of that instead of doing generators. Because I'm like, you're going to hit me once and then you're going to chase after me and mouse one me. The rest of the survivors on the map are going to be constantly doing generators. It's like, yeah, you might down me, you might take me out or whatever, but by the time you down me and get everything else done, you're wasting the whole point of playing Legion. You're not stalling people, you're not making them heal, you're not doing all of that, you're letting us do gens regularly. Why are you Legion? If you're looking for a speedy boy, play like Oni or something. Or a teleporting killer like Freddy. And it just made me question everything when I see a Legion hit me and then cancel their power immediately. And I'm like, okay, you obviously don't know how to play Legion. Like, I'm going to run you ragged, drop every pallet that I see in front of you, and I'm going to make you coming after me, trying to get that second hit, hell for you. Because by the time I go down, I know 3 gens are going to pop. So I don't really need to save anything. And once you do down me and hook me and go for another person, the rest of my team's going to understand that, hey, this Legion doesn't chain between people. He hits you, then chases you. While you're chasing that second person, I'm going to be taken off the hook, and another person's going to complete another generator. And you're going to have 1 gen left, and you're going to have all 4 survivors still in play because you're not stalling anybody. So I'm like, if you're gonna pick a specific killer that you think is cool, by all means, play them. But look up how to play them properly. I mean, you can be a bully Legion and run around mouse wanting, but you're gonna have a hell of an experience once you get into the iridescent ranks. They decreased the feral frenzy fatigue to 3 seconds instead of 4. That's something I'm glad I read this today. They decreased it a second because I relied on the counting of that to distance myself. Because generally, the legions that want to keep tapping you and keep hitting you, they'll hit you one time and then they'll catch up to you and hit you again, essentially making it useless. And they'll lose their power. Or, if the legion's trying to chase somebody and you body block them and you take that hit because you know you're not going to go down, even if you're injured, you wait for them to cancel their power, and then you have a little bit of extra time to move. This decreases that to roundabout the amount of time it takes for you to, for them to break a pallet. Scary. An extra second of Feral Frenzy by 2 seconds. Keep in mind, this is the same as like the Iron Grass agitation situation, except it's a lot better. Like, way better. That 2 extra seconds at like the, 5.6 or whatever the fuck Legion goes to. Whatever ridiculous speeds he gets up to. Allows him to go significantly farther. So that's like 10 extra meters. Again, decreases Feral Frenzy recharge time by 5 seconds. That's, oh my god. So they get 3 seconds back. Because while they're ending, they recharge, plus an additional 5 seconds off the top. That is 8 seconds gone off their timer. Behavior, oh lord. Increases killer instinct detection range by 20 meters. Did they nerf I'm going to keep reading. Hang on. So they increased the instinct detection range by 20 meters, which is great. Increases tires or mend time by 4 seconds. Mend time 16 seconds. Well, I don't know if Legion does anything different, but regular mend time 16 seconds. Add an extra 4 makes it 20 seconds. That is huge. If it does increase it to 20 seconds, that is a fourth of a generator worth of time. Stalled even longer. They did. Iridescent button. Remove the effect where tear radius extends to the entire map. I'm so happy about that because it kind of made Legion into bullshit. That's one of the things that I never really understood, because you're giving them essentially a radar. They feral frenzy into somebody, hit them, and now they know where all of the other survivors' locations and positions are. With that information, I mean, you can come up with a plan and do whatever you need to do. I don't think you should be allowed to see full map of where every single survivor is with Killer Instinct like that. I can understand an increased range of, 20 meters and things like that. But the full map, if somebody got tagged, now Legion knows where you're at on the map. And as he tags more and more survivors, he knows, your locations are completely getting updated and updating. It's like, what the fuck's the point of running Doctor anymore? Cool, madness is a thing, and you can shut them down a little bit while they're getting rid of madness, but Legion makes them mend ever so longer. You're getting constant updates on survivors' locations and things like that. So it's like, why run Doctor and all of that? What? The incapacitated status effect you get for like 1.5 to 2.5 seconds? When you zap somebody, who cares? They just pre-drop pallets. The Doctor's hit range is reduced compared to the newer and, longer killings. His lunge is shorter because of his hitbox and all of that. You actually have to know where the Doctor, where the Doctor's stats are and things like that when playing with him. Somebody picking up Doctor for the first time out of the random who tries to treat them like the other killers that have the longer lunges and all of that are going to have a problem. His weapons, I don't know, there's just something different. He might have the same stats, but the way the Doctor moves is very heavily suggestible to, well, one, FOV tech, because he's tall as shit. And because he's taller, when he goes to swing, he has less of a hit distance from his particular hitbox. It's different. So people can 360 or outrange your lunge attacks and regular hit attacks and all of that fairly easy. The sensitivity tech where you swing and then sensitivity swipe, somebody can just duck under that sometimes because the Doctor's so tall. People crouching and hiding behind things Doctor don't see as often. So you have to remain vigilant in everything you do. So Doctor becomes a lot less useless when you have a small killer like Legion that has maneuverability and can achieve the same effect that the Doctor has, if not better, when it comes to stall tactics. Yeah, survivors scream when the Doctor, gets their madness and all of that up and things like that, but when Legion hits one of your buddies, running at his increased speed, of course, everybody else is pinged map wide. So this kind of returns some of the power back to Doctor, while also keeping Legion able to do what, he wants to do. Also, increased duration of lunges during feral frenzy. God damn. 0.3 seconds, that's half of Michael Myers tier 3. By the way, Tier 3 Michael Myers is .6 lunge time. Legion's at .3 now with that. Holy shit. People who deep wound from feral frenzy are infected with the blindness status effect, inflicted with blindness. I mean, sure. If you have like windows of opportunities or you're relying on your vision or your aura reading specifically, like you have empathy or something like that, and you're relying on vision or other visionary perks to see where people are, yeah, that's really gonna throw up like or mess with like new players. But I mean, if you see where a survivor gets hooked at, know where they're at, and then you mend, you're still gonna know where hook location they generally are. So I mean, unless you're just new or bad at the game or don't know what the hell you're doing, if you're not experienced at the game, it's going to cause you issues. If you're experienced at the game or a veteran at the game, you're not going to have any issues with that. That mangled is fucking disgusting. Absolutely, positively fucking disgusting on that mangled status effect. That oblivious status effect is disgusting too, but the mangled, because of the hemorrhage status effect and all of that coming together with it, it's fucking disgusting. Oblivious status effect, I mean, is just the counteract of the blindness. You either not see the ores around you or you not see killer. Or not killer, but you don't hear killer. So you either see no evil or hear no evil. It is strong, don't get me wrong. Because if you mend and then that legion comes back after that ass, you know, he can catch you off guard easily. But I mean, you can hear Legion as he comes after you going, ha, ha, ha. So I mean, Legion's very loud when he's running. So I mean, the oblivious status effect doesn't really do much for Legion. It's like putting it on Nemesis. You hear boom, 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 boom as Nemesis is running around. It's not very good to give him the oblivious or undetectable because he's loud as shit. Breaking walls 30% faster. Power gauge pauses while breaking a wall. That's disgusting. That is disgusting. At first glance, it makes you say something like, well, I mean, breaking walls might be, you know, the power gauging breaking that, you know. Eh, it's not that good. It doesn't really matter. But if I think about this, if you are chasing a survivor that vaults a window, like for example, the Eyrie of Crows, if you're not good at the map and you don't immediately go and break that middle door, and somebody tries to use that infinite on you, or if you're at the beginning of the match and you know a survivor's in middle, vice versa, you can literally break that wall 30% faster, which is fast as shit, by the way, and then continue on because your power gauge pauses. It allows you to do more actions, essentially, while keeping your power up. So you don't have to stop, break a wall, lose that power, and then try and catch up. You don't have to worry about it. Now I know Legion can vault walls and pallets and windows and all of that shit faster. However, there are cases to where it's going to be faster for you to go through a doorway as opposed to following that survivor over a window. Especially if, you know, like Dead Dog Saloon in the top area, where that entire area is filled up with breakable walls and shit. That's one of the things I'm talking about. Instead of following a survivor in through a window, you can bust that wall, which gives you a path outwards to a hook, and continue to pursue that particular survivor all in one stage. That's what makes that good. So there's no more. That was one of Legion's inherent problems too, was the speed at which a survivor could run you to an area, and you could vault behind them into an area to where after you hit that survivor or down that survivor, to where that survivor's just sitting there, and he's like, "What are you gonna do now?" You had to wait for your cooldown, which is 4 seconds back there for your cooldown. I think it even went up to 5 seconds at one point and they changed it. But your cooldown went down to 4 seconds, so there's 4 seconds there. Then you had to break a breakable wall. Then you had to fuck with the survivor to pick them up. Then you had to walk over to a hook, hook them, and then continue on what you're doing, and you lost a large amount of time. Now you can run through, ignore that window, or jump through the window, hit that survivor, then hit the breakable door, and then continue chase to open that up for future chases and things like that. So it's very good being able to break things as you keep going on. Now, it's very niche. So, I mean, if you're not selecting the map specifically that has a lot of breakable walls, you're probably not going to run that very often. But I mean, if you know you're going to Dead Dog Saloon or something like that, or Eerie of Crows or something, it's worthwhile. The only thing I don't understand that, well, I guess you can't break pallets. Never mind, you can't break pallets when you're in Legion's power mode. That's why pallets aren't included there. Plus, the other one breaks pallets as you slide across pallets. So, yeah, it makes sense while it's just breaking a wall. Because I thought about it, I was like, why didn't it say anything about pallets? And I was like, Legion can't break pallets in Feral Frenzy. Makes sense. Speed burst per hit up to point 0.3. Point 0.3 meters per second. Oh, this guy's a monster. Point 0.3 meters per second speed boost per hit. Holy shit. I mean, my particular play style is for every survivor to separate. But I mean, if you run from the beginning of the match and you manage to catch a catch a group of survivors together working on generators, holy shit, you can get your speed scaled up high. Especially with other speed perks. Oh my god, behavior. What the actual fuck did you do? You need to fix your spawning system then. And I'm not even kidding. You need to fix your spawn system. It's been there too long. If survivors ain't spawning all the way at the other end of the map of the farthest generator, they're generally either all together spawned at a middle generator at the second closest nearest middle, or they're at the farthest closest nearing middle. You can find survivors there. I want to say 100% of the time. If it's not, there's a guaranteed spawn at the generator area farthest away from you, and then one at the middle looking generator. Not in the middle area, like in the middle of the map. The middle, I don't know how to explain it. I'll probably show it when I play Ghostface or something. I talk about it in all of my other streams when I'm playing on where to find survivors. And I know that if I don't find a survivor there, they're hiding from me and that they are there. So just to loop back later on or fake and loop back and they'll be working on the gen to chase them off. But fuck, dude. 23 meters per second. That's speed, though, boy. Never sleep pills. The Legion's base move speed during Feral Frenzy is 4.6. Increases duration for 10 seconds. How does that scale out? Honestly, though, how does that scale out? Regular Feral Frenzy's 20 seconds, correct? This adds 30 seconds. If Feral Frenzy speed, whatever it is, it's either 5.2 or 5.6. I can look that up. Feral Frenzy speed. That says 4.6. That's not his fucking speed. Five meters per second. There we go. I thought it was like 5.2 or 5.6. Maybe that's with his add-ons and shit on. We'll go with 5. 5 is nice, rounded out. So 5 or somewhere around 5. Well, shit, I might as well have looked up how long Legion's power lasts. I believe it lasts 20 seconds by default. But I might as well get all the information. Like I said, I never went back and looked over Legion's full profile because I had to cancel that series. Or I would know. Uh, 5.2. Can I see a 5.2 here? This says 5.2 in Frenzy, not 5. I thought it was 5.2. So roundabout's 5. I'll just have to do the math for all of them. Well, I'm not going to do the complete math, but you know what I'm saying. Time. Time. It does decrease that by that. So Frenzy is 5.2. And it goes up 0.2 plus whatever. 10 charges. Oh, it has 10 charges and a 20-second recovery. I'm gotten my shit backwards. I have my recovery and my Feral Frenzy times backwards. The power lasts for 10 seconds. The recharge is 20. I thought it was backwards. Where the power lasted for 20 and then everything else was... Okay. Gotcha. I'm backwards on everything. Alright. Feral Frenzy lasts for 10 seconds. Recharging takes 20 seconds. Okay, so that's not as disgusting as that. I mean, it is still disgusting. Taking that time off like that. It was like 4 seconds. Still kind of disgusting, but not as bad as I thought it was. Then we come back to here. Oh boy. This takes off 4.6 or 0.4 meters per second So in essence, you're going to lose 4 meters of Legion speed based off the base speed. However, this increases Feral Frenzy by 10 additional seconds, so you gain 46 meters. So this add-on, although it keeps you slow, you'll gain more distance over time. It's kind of the turtle versus the hare type of situation. Do you move slower and go significantly farther, or do you move faster and take a significantly shorter amount of distance? Again, I'll do the math one more time. Legion's power, as we just found out, lasts for 10 seconds. At 4.6, that's 46 meters. At 50, that's 50 meters. So the only thing you're losing from the two, 50 minus 46 is 4 meters worth of time, decreasing his speed. However, adding 10 seconds onto that, you would get 46 meters, and then you would times that by 2, which gives you what, 102? Yeah, 102 meters. So you're actually able to move 52 meters more using this particular add-on, but your speed is still stuck to 4.6 meters per second. You also get blood points for each successful hit during Feral Frenzy. But you're essentially moving at regular killer speed. So when you're walking as Legion, you're going to keep the same speed as if you're running with Legion. Your speed won't change. I'm pretty sure he's a 4.6 meters per second killer. I'm going to double check, but I'm 100% sure it's 4.6. Yes, it is a 4.6. So, whatever speed you start off with, that's the speed that you're going to keep. The whole point of that is you're going to be playing a mouse 1 killer that can bolt and do all of the other quick actions faster, and then as you chain survivors, you'll be building up speed. So I mean, essentially, you're gonna be a mouse 1 killer that has enhanced agility until you get that first hit in. Once you get that first hit, you'll go up, and I mean, you can easily increase this speed boost. You can run both of these together and make that 4.9 and essentially be at regular speed. So if you run both of these attachments together, you're only losing 0.1 meters per second of speed when it comes to that first hit. Now, if you go for a 4 survivor chain, obviously the beforehand, the 50 going up and scaling 0.3 is going to give you a lot more distance, or at least similar distance to the 4.6 scaling up by 0.3. But the extra time makes this kind of worthwhile. Survivors who self-mend a deep wound are inflicted with hemorrhage until fully healed. That fucking sucks. Wait. Damn. That's one of the questions I was gonna ask about the hemorrhage status effect, as if it affected mend like it did before. And not just entered, but it does affect mend as well. That's fucking disgusting. So not only can you decrease mend progress and all of that with hemorrhage, you can decrease regular heal progress. So if you have somebody that's almost fully mended, you can then pressure them to run away from you and essentially make it to where they just can't mend back up, which make the Mend Legion build be extremely powerful. You know, if you have that type of survivor who you just can't down, who's actually good at playing the game, you just pressure them. Let them think they can get a heal in, pressure them, keep pressuring them, keep pressuring them, because guess what? They're going to have to keep doing these small pseudo heals where they do like 0.2 to stop the hemorrhage from decreasing, and keep every once in a while. That's going to slow them down and keep their minds moving, where you can keep upping the pressure over and over. Broken status effect. What kind of bullshit is this? Survivors who self-mend a deep wound from the feral frenzy are inflicted with the broken effect for 60, or with broken for 60 seconds. My question with this is, after you were broken, you do go back to full health and everything is, you know, good. However, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. Because the broken status effect, as everybody knows, it keeps you from healing. Broken status effect used to be an injuring status effect. Like if you got the broken status effect, you had to heal back up afterwards. So instead of heal or mending yourself, then what's the point? I'm all fucked up. What's the point of this? Well, I guess it keeps you from healing yourself up to full health, is what I guess is what it does. You mend from the deep wound to regular, broken. So you can't heal up all the way over the course of those 60 seconds. But I mean, more experienced players and all of that, unless they're sitting in like a circle of healing or anything, they're just going to heal the deep wound and finish up the generator that they're on, you know? Or if they do get hit with the broken and they don't have the killer on them, they're just going to run to a generator and start putting time in. I don't know. It's good, but it's bad at the same time. It's good if you're near like end game and you're not wanting people to heal up and you're wanting to, stall and all of that. But part of the stall is they have to mend themselves and then they have to heal afterwards, which takes time. Because your first hit on somebody is effectively just a regular hit that they have to mend. When they mend into the injured state. So I'm like, hmm. I think it's good. It's a good add-on, but I don't think it has a huge effect than what you would think it'd have. Again, another one for damaging generators. The power gauge pauses. These are good because you can activate other perks like pop and all of that without worrying about power decreasing. um, Fuming mixtape. While using Feral Frenzy, the repair progress of generators can be determined by the intensity. Generators not being worked on regress. Um, I haven't played Legion in a long, long time. I'm talking about like back when Legion first came out. Is this like Ruin? I think this is a Ruin that works during Feral Frenzy, so it's only 10 seconds of progress and all of that, of regressing generators. So you get 10 seconds worth of regression, which I believe it's regular, so you're only taking off 1% per every 4 seconds. So the regression, all of that doesn't matter. Regression effects does not stack with ruin or other regression effects. Why? That's fucking stupid. It's garbage. I mean, the intensity of the auras of the gens and all of that is great, because you can tell where survivors are, whether what gens you need to push survivors off of. But 10 seconds worth of regression when you lose 1% of a gen per 4 seconds. Because ruin is 200%, which is double that. You lose 1 second of regression per 2 seconds. Is garbage. Because this shit only lasts for fucking 10 seconds. So that's 4, 8. You would lose like 2.5 percentages off of any generator that's not regression or regressing. And that's per, Legion reset. So that's 2.5%. If you manage to chain all 4 survivors over the course of that, then you're looking at 10%. And that's achieving the feat of finding all four survivors and hitting them. You'll use 10% of any generator not being worked on. That's not good. That's garbage. I'm sorry, but the generator regressing all that's garbage. Most legions only get like 2 people anyway. They don't even go for the 4. And then removing the ability to see every aura of every survivor makes this even more garbage. I mean, I could be misunderstanding something, but that's not good having the generators not being worked on regress. At max, and that's getting full time before your hits. Again, that's only 10% of gen regression, and it's a whole 8 seconds off the top. Ooh, 8 seconds. Throughout the 40 seconds of fucking run well, you don't have 40 seconds because you'll lose your whatchamacallit at the end. So 30 seconds. And then whatever you use to get to the last survivor. But max of 40 seconds worth of well, no, it's still 30 plus. Let's say a max of 40 seconds. There's 4 survivors when it comes down to that. So sure. If it doesn't stack with ruin or other regression effects, again, it's just like, what the fuck's the point in running that? Besides seeing the intensity of auras, but you have other perks and things that can do that. I don't know. I don't know. Um, why give them the nurse's calling? There's the auras of survivors who are mending within a 24-meter radius. Why give them nurse's calling on Legion when there's a perk that does that? I don't understand. It's not even during Feral Frenzy, it just does it. Don't agree with that one, Chief, but whatever. I guess you took their full fucking map tear radius, so you're trying to say sorry by giving them Nurse's Calling for free. I guess it's not free, it's an add on, but I mean, still. You know how hard Legion is already to deal with, and you have to essentially mend? And I guess it's not Nurse's Calling because it doesn't do anything against healing survivors. It's mending survivors, and if you're going on long chains, then the 16 seconds it takes of mending, it's not going to matter. That Legion's never going to come back to you during all of that. And I guess this will help the people that don't want to play Legion strategically and they just want to hit you and then chase you afterwards. They'll always have that lock on you. I would agree that that's kind of a negative because any tunneling Legion that just hits you and then chases you afterwards is going to know where you're at. You have a time limit to mend. So, I mean, yeah, even if they do a 2 chain, the second person they hit and they start chasing, they have to mend. So even if they get away from that Legion, they have to start mending and the Legion's just going to get back on them. So it helps tunneling. New add-on, BFFs. That's the chain hits. Once the gates are open, if 30 or more tokens have been collected, gain a 4% movement speed bonus when not using Feral Frenzy. Are you fucking kidding me? I mean, I understand it rewards actual Legion play, and you needed something like that, and it's set high in precedence. Because, I mean, to get all 4 survivors hit and then find another survivor to chain to get 4 tokens, you would have to do that 7 times and then get a couple of other chains. So it actually happening is extremely low. It's like Hex Pentimento getting all 5 totems lit. So I mean, I understand the people that actually play Legion the way it's designed and intended to be played in should get a reward. But Jesus Christ, if you run that shit, if you just specifically go for chains all game, and you make an end game build, and you have fire up this shit for the 4%, no ad for that, and but you can't use save the best for last because you do have to hit that survivor. But all of the speed add-ons and shit, you know how fucking fast this Legion's gonna be zooming. This is an end game build that's fucking terrifying. So if a Legion hits you and chains off of everybody and doesn't use that pressure to keep everybody injured or to down everybody, etc., and he's just going for chains, and a survivor notices that, even one of the 4 survivors notice that shit, they can shut you down. One just has to hop in a locker before they start getting hit, obviously, because Killer Instinct goes through lockers and all of that. But you can just hide in a locker before the chain starts. Like, somebody gets hit and you're on the other side of the map, hop in a fucking locker and hide your ass off so we can't finish those chains. That's crazy. I want to see somebody actually complete these chain builds on a YouTube video. Jesus Christ. So you can get a 0.3 increase in speed per hit from running an add-on. You can use this, or you might want to just increase the amount of time you have when it comes down to that shit. But if you can get a nasty build where you can increase 0.3 speed per touch on chain, maybe increase the tear radius instead, though, and actually pull that off and get like maximum speed that you can get with Legion. Holy shit. That with no ad? Fucking good luck, survivors. You ain't going no fucking where. You are gonna be clothesline. God damn. That speed increase. Now, granted, no ad I don't think has an effect while you're in Feral Frenzy, so they will have to come out of it before clotheslining you. But god damn. Whew. Also, one add-on that I would like to see added on to this is an item that decreases Feral Frenzy's speed or time to 5 seconds, decreases mending speed or mending time only down to like 8 seconds or 10 seconds. However, prevents survivors from leaving the map while bleeding or while in the deep wound status effect. So, one, anybody getting saved off the hook with borrowed time cannot leave the match till they mend. Anybody trying to run to an exit gate from you, if you hit them, they cannot leave the match until they mend. I think you would completely tilt the player base and all of that, but with the only 5 seconds to use that particular ability and all of that, I think, with how hardcore balancing apparent, or, it's going to have to be more balanced than what I said, but again, I'm spitballing this. I think with a hardcore nerf or something like that, also make it to where you can only chain off one person, obviously. But I think with hardcore nerfing, balancing, and things like that, you can really do some fucking in-game shenanigans with that. And now, my ghosty boy, my boy that's ghosty, Ghostface Killer. But before we get into that, I'm going to take a short break, so I will be right back. All right. Ghosty boy in the city. Now, I've been playing a lot of Ghosty boy, these last couple of months. So I know a little bit about how Ghostface functions and all of that. I didn't run add-ons on my Ghostface, by the way. Never did. But let's see what they did. Ghostface can no longer be revealed by marked survivors. Um, I mean, to be fair, I mean, I've never gotten Ghostface Killer up to Iridescent. I never played long enough. So maybe they play a lot differently in Iridescent, but I've gotten him up to gold before I don't play Ghostface every day. When I play Dead by Daylight, I play on stream, or if me and Macho play by ourselves, at Survivor side. I only play Killer when I play on stream. Unless there's like a challenge or something and I need like blood points, then I'll play like a game. But throughout my matches, I rarely get revealed by whoever I'm chasing because either they're marked, one of their buddies sees me and they reveal me while they're being chased, or that person's just kind of, running around like a chicken with their head cut off. So, I mean, it's nice to not be able to be revealed by marked survivors because, well, me playing against Ghostface, if I am marked, that's the first thing even if I'm being chased, the first thing I do is turn around and reveal Ghostface so he can't 99% and down me. So, that's an interesting thing that's irrelevant for where I play at in the game. When I think about iridescent and all of that, you marking somebody and they can no longer reveal you, so you keep your stealth as you're running in and doing everything is dope. Let's see. Mark now lasts for 60 seconds. Now that makes sense. Mark should have lasted for 60 seconds because if you think about like Michael Myers' is tier 3, where he has everybody exposed for that entire time, and add in the stalking time from Ghostface and everything else, etc., etc. Of course, Michael Myers' goes up faster the more people he stalks at once. Giving Ghostface a 60-second mark makes sense. I'm still eating my burrito, by the way. I mean, 45 seconds was alright, but I mean, all it takes is one survivor going out of their gourd or one body blocking you or something like that, and you really can't catch that survivor. Again, on engagement, it generally takes about 20 seconds on an engagement to down a survivor. If your engagement gets reset due to, I don't know, them using a god palette or another survivor body blocking and resetting, your bloodlust and all of that back to zero, and you lose that distance and have to re engage, that's going to be another, like 20 seconds. So 60 seconds makes sense. Now, how I found out about this public test beta, somebody told me that this unique tear radius and chase music is absolutely positively garbage. So I want to hear it for myself. Now, I've heard that they made Ghostface easier to reveal. Now, I agree and I don't agree. The way it was explained to me is that it became stupidly easy to reveal Ghostface, kind of ruining the whole thing that Ghostface is. Before, revealing Ghostface was too hard because you literally had this small ass little box that you had to get him into to reveal him. Now I've been told that it's way too easy. You can reveal Ghostface accidentally. If you're just looking in a particular direction, even if you don't see him, boom. Now I am on both sides of the fence when it comes to that. Because one is, stretch resolution and things like that. They say they fixed it. And stretch res no longer allows players to have that advantage. But if that ever breaks in the future, Ghostface might as well have no power at all when it comes to things like that. But I'm on both sides of that because if that survivor is working at like Kill Shack window or something like that, and he's just looking back and forth between doors, and he catches you between two planks or something like that, and he gets that sound that you're revealing Ghostface, he's gonna know that you're there. Doesn't matter if he fully reveals you or not, he's gonna know you're there. Again, spine chill and a whole bunch of other bullshit. Counteract stealth killers too, if they're looking directly at their target. I mean, I've learned if somebody starts jetting from a generator early as hell, one, chase them because they have spine chill and you want them down as quick as possible. But two, somebody has spine chill in their particular party. If it's an SWF, then you can probably assume that there's going to be more. So you just kind of look to the side and not directly at a generator that you're approaching, and then sneak around the side and grab somebody. Not that hard to do. um, that I don't need to go over. Reveal progress will now regress over a short time when a survivor loses sight of Ghostface and resume when revealing starts again. Losing sight of Ghostface for a single frame would cause our reveal progress to be lost. I mean, you reveal Ghostface pretty fast. I thought that was part of the thrill, part of the charm, part of the thing that made Ghostface, decent. You see Ghostface, he crouches behind a box, and then you no longer, have that reveal progress. And as you try to get away and that Ghostface tries to sneak up on you, you can keep, ending their line of sights on the reveals and all of that to get closer into them, to get that grab and or hit and keep your stealth. I thought that was kind of, the thing about Ghostface. But now the fact that if somebody partially sees me and I sneak around to the other side of them, that progress, might not necessarily be completely reset. I mean, I understand when it comes to being chased by Ghostface, revealing him, looking forward, and all of that takes skill. But that's something that you build up over time. to where you can reveal him while you're being chased, etc., while still keeping, you know, your lines and all of that good. So, I mean, it's kind of disheartening because you reveal Ghostface fairly quickly when you look at him. You know, it goes, so you reveal him fairly quickly when it comes to something like that. But I mean, like, goddamn. And then, yeah, the sighting zone. um, add in oh boy, differentiation. Differentiation is the word. Differentiation. Differentiation. There we go. Why did that take me so long to read that? Differentiation of the sighting zone. The zone in your screen where the target must be revealed are stock for killers and survivors to better account for differences between first and third person camera. So, made it possible to reveal Ghostface / stalk survivors when they are not in the center of the screen but still take up a large amount of the screen, e.g., when they are very close to you. That's going to break. It'll probably be fixed down the line, but as it's implemented now, it's going to break. Why? Because they did the same shit with Michael Myers at the beginning and it broke. So after they fix the fuck up that's going to initially happen, because it's going to bug, because they're using an old system and stacking back on it again. After it breaks and they fix it, it'll be fine. But until then, give it a couple of days. Well, I guess it has been a couple of days. That'll be fixed. Again, I really didn't use any type of add-ons, but cool. This increases add-ons or seconds. Increases movement speed by stalking. Now that's good. That's very good. Because it allows you to stalk them and move towards a cutoff path at the same time. Generally, I would literally just stand there and just 99% my power. And then I would pick up pursuit, cut them, and try to chase them till I can get close. Because, well, it's better just to 99% the power early and then go about whatever you're doing. But now you can sort of use that and you can keep moving while you're stalking and continuously get things done. I probably won't have still run add-ons or anything like that, but I like that. Recovery time in Night Shroud by 6 seconds doesn't really matter because you're either going to be near survivors or not near survivors, so that's not really that big of a deal. I use Night Shroud to make survivors look at me. And because the hitboxes on all of that on revealing me are going to be bigger, survivors aren't going to have a choice but to look at me. Once they see me, I'm going to get the notification that they're looking at me. And I'm going to immediately turn and head to that direction. So that increase in spot time for Ghostface is going to really fuck survivors up. It was too small before, and it was hard to where you had to really try to focus in to get Ghostface. But I guarantee you they made that shit too easy now. Survivors who aren't trying to look at me, they're just trying to peripheral me, are going to end up getting caught as sighting me. And I'm going to be able to use Night Shroud to find their locations. I use Ghostface 3 different ways. I use him to sneak up on unsuspecting survivors. I use his power to locate survivors, and I use this power to confuse survivors. If I have a Night Shroud Prime and I'm getting looped around, a tile or a set piece or something like that, or a jungle gym or something, I can easily keep my tear radius up, let them see my red stain, go around the corner and hide from them as they're trying to juke and see which way I'm going, use my Night Shroud, and immediately make an action to scare the shit out of them and push them. Because they're going to be trying to look at the red stain and know when to go. If the red stain ain't there, then that kind of sense of panic comes over some survivors, making them make actions. Decreases time to mark survivor by 20%. If that counts for leaning, that's disgusting. Absolutely, positively disgusting. Oh, oh, oh no! The auras of all survivors are revealed for 7 seconds when I mark survivors putting to the dying state. Oh no. Maybe I should run add-ons. That's a hell of an increase. Reason why this is important is you can go for quick pickups, quick hooks. It allows to let you know if anybody else is in the area. So you can pivot to another thing and let you know what side of the map they're on, whether multiple survivors are on gens. You know, the basic shit ore reading does. But it also does one very important thing. After you down the mark survivor when they're put into a dying state, especially with the effect that mark survivors cannot reveal you. Oh, baby. Um, what? Child remains active after a failed basic attack. Not a lunge attack, basic attack. I fucking love that. Oh, I love that. I can't tell you how many times this game has glitched or messed up and shit ain't worked right and I've lost my shroud because of it. But this works well for, again, loops and things like that, loop breaking. Olson's address book. This gives you one of Ghostface's perks. Survivor has to be marked, though. It's I'm all ears, except for it works on marked survivors. Essentially, that's what's becoming the meta when it comes for add-ons. Add-ons nowadays, by behavior design, makes it the where if you incorporate a particular killer's power and perform something, you get essentially one of their perks activated. Generally, it's a shorter duration. However, you still get a perk activation for that time. And that's been an add-on that they're starting to add to every single killer that you can play. I was gonna stop here, but god damn. Marked has the oblivious, so even if you are exposed or anything like that, it won't matter for that particular survivor you're facing. Anybody that reveals Ghostface is inflicted with oblivious for 60 seconds. Again, the person that reveals Ghostface, yeah, it's nice that you revealed him and he can't mark you, but he still keeps his stealth. You'll see the stain, but you ain't gonna hear the tear radius or anything like that. Then it makes it take multiple seconds to reveal Ghostface. Now, this is good, but it's not necessary. I mean, any Ghostface that plays knows that As soon as you hook a survivor, get the hell out of their line of sight before you disappear again. I don't like the fact that that takes an extra 3 seconds because it allows them to set up ambushes and shit like that. And essentially tunnel things like that. At least if you go into your stealth thing right afterwards, or your night shroud right after hooking a survivor, that survivor can reveal you. I purposely go into night shroud as soon as I hook a survivor. I go into night shroud because I get points for it, and then I let that survivor reveal me. Just kind of a thing. It's kind of like, to get points. If you've ever seen me play, as soon as I hook a survivor, I generally immediately go into shroud and let them reveal me. Yeah, I'll make comments like, don't reveal me or something like that, but I mean, obviously they're gonna reveal me. That's the whole point of that. It resets the cooldown and it allows me to have my tear radius out, which again, most survivors won't approach as long as you have your tear radius out. And then, as the time for my shroud is scaling down, I search the area around that survivor looking for flashlights, etc., or other survivors going for an immediate unhook. And then when the shroud comes back, I walk away and let my tear radius fade out. Then I shroud up and then can go back and check that area because they think that I'm gone. If you hook a survivor and your tear radius just vanishes, all the other survivors in the area are just going to assume that you're either going towards a gen or you're camping hook. But if you let your tear radius fade out and then activate your shroud and go back in, you'll catch more unsuspecting survivors. Breaking a pallet or wall immediately recharges Night Shroud. Oh, that's disgusting. Disgusting! So I can use my Night Shroud, hit a survivor, come out of it, force them to drop a pallet, knock that survivor down, break that pallet, and then immediately enter Night Shroud again. Breakable walls, fucking probably pallets, probably all kinds of other bullshit. 10% movement speed after marking a survivor. Behavior, what the fuck? Holy shit. I mean, yeah. Whew. With that 10% movement speed and the stalking speed going up by 40%, you realize what you're doing, behavior. You're the ones who are doing this. People are gonna fucking hate Ghostface after this. Survivor that reveals Ghostface is afflicted with the exhausted status effect for 5 seconds. This is good if there's a injured survivor. There's an injured survivor trying to reveal you. It prevents them from using Dead Hard or something like that and immediately escaping a sprint burst or something. After being marked, afflicted with exhausted, I mean, that means I no longer have to run Fearmonger. Which is something I started doing here just recently because I can sneak up on generators. And if they do have Spine Chill, I can try to catch them on the other end of that. If they're running, of course. That's disgusting. I can mark a survivor and make them exhausted. Well, actually, no. It's not as disgusting as I thought it was. I mean, it's good, like, towards the end of the game. I suppose if somebody's trying to get, like, an unhook or something, and you lean out and you mark them, and they're injured, they can't just dead hard away from you and shit like that. Or trades that they're trying to use a specific perk on, or sprint burst or some shit like that. It'll deactivate those perks that will, initially let them get away. But on an injured survivor, why would you mark them when you can just walk up and, well, I know why. You'd get that 10% movement speed. But this ain't really that apparent on injured survivors. It's useless. So it's not as strong as you would think it is originally. It has its uses. Giving somebody the exhausted status effect, because most people after their mark immediately just take off running. And as long as they're running, they aren't going to recover from that exhausted status effect. So if you balance that out, hit them and continuously keep them running, and they don't ever recover for that exhausted status effect, you could essentially keep them locked down. Instantly recharges after a successful basic attack, puts a survivor into the dying state. That's not bad because you can pull a ninja, knock somebody down, and then disappear. Ghostface was having a tough time, generally. I mean, I've played against iridescent survivors. The first game that I ever played, I actually have posted in my Discord a picture. I literally just bought Ghostface, and it put me up against 3 iridescent fucking survivors. There were 2 ones of 4, and the other guy was a gold 3. My very first game is Ghostface, not Goldface. Ghostface. And I got 3 down, and I let the guy get the hatch. Easy. They didn't even get a lot of gens done. Like, it wasn't even a close game at all. So, I mean, I didn't have a problem playing with them. His add-ons were uninteresting and useless. Again, I didn't run any add-ons that game. I ran the whatever perks that Ghostface had after I leveled him up, and that's about what I ran. I'm pretty sure they were like on. I'd have to look at the picture. Actually, it's on my Discord. I can tell you exactly what perks I was running and what levels. I thought I already had my Discord open. I guess not. Ah, I had one perk on. It was I'm all ears level 2. That's it. It doesn't say how many gens are left or anything like that. But yeah. And that was my very first game. I didn't understand Ghostface's power. I didn't understand how to use it. I just went in and played and pulled that off my first game. Ghostface, despite people saying that he's not very strong, if you have a basic understanding of the core game mechanics, being, the mouse one killer and all of that, and what you need to do, you can pull off some amazing things. I mean, I have streams where I play as Ghostface and I do pretty good. I'm not going to play good today because it's PTB. Everything's changed and people are going to be expecting Ghostface. But, I mean, obviously, they're going to be expecting Legions and they're going to be expecting Ghostfaces. So, Spine Chill's going to be a bitch to fucking play with today. And shit like that. People are going to have builds and things that counter Ghostface heavily today. So don't expect me to pull anything out of my ass today. Because they're going to know. They're going to know if it ain't a Legion that comes splitting across, it's going to be a Stealth Boy Ghostface. You can differentiate between the two very quickly. So don't expect me to play super well today. Because they already have, they know who I am, what killer I am. I'm gonna have to think about what I'm gonna want to play with there. It's not bad. That don't matter. Engine update and download size. It says this, but my public test beta downloaded very quickly. I was surprised. I didn't even have to leave my computer on overnight. It took only like what? I want to say like 15 minutes. Like it was quick as shit. It downloaded and installed and all of that. It was very quick. Again, it's an engine update, so it is probably going to crash. Definitely probably going to crash on me. Because when they say engine update, I don't, well, no, because they can't go from one engine set to the next engine set. Because, like, let's say this is ran on Unreal Engine 3 or Unreal Engine 4, and Unreal Engine 5's up, and they went updated to Unreal Engine 5 from 4. They would still have to redo most of the. Actually, I think 4 is partially compatible with 5. But I know if they did it like in 3, they would have to redo everything. But I think 4 and 5 might be compatible. Gonna be a lot of shit to fix though. All the rest of this stuff, don't really worry about it. Yeah, I ain't worried about any of that. In Haddonfield map, downing a survivor next to a fence prevents the killer from picking up the survivor. Hmm. I see. Somebody said no to this and said that it wasn't helpful. What the fuck? It's literally all of the patch notes. People just want to watch the world burn, man. If it's good, say that it's good. If it's bad, say that it's bad. But don't say that it didn't help you when it actually did. If you read through the shit and looked at the content, it helped you in one shape, one way, shape, or form. Like, what the fuck? Alright, let me pop on. This one's Dead by Daylight, I think. Alright. It's going to be a black screen for a moment because I don't feel like screen switching over. Once it loads, it should pop up on screen. This is your first and only sound warning. If you have kids sleeping in your house, if you have people sleeping and you're watching this content, sound warning. Do not blame me for people getting woke up. Sound warning. Shit, hang on. I gotta. Can I get it done quick? Yeah, this shit takes forever to open up. I don't even know why I'm in such a hurry. That is pinned. We're good. I see that the game started. There you go. I love how Claudette's like, I gotta go save them. Jake's like, nah, fuck that. You staying with me, bitch. And because she stayed with Jake, she ends up getting clapped because of it. She should have just taken off running. In a situation like that, somebody gets clapped behind you. You gonna see a motherfucker shoot off into the distance. There ain't gonna be no looking back and all of that. You hear, nope, nope, nope. And the motherfucker's gonna be running. Yeah, let's work on this generator. Like, nah, man, Meg just got clapped. I don't want to be anywhere near that. Not today. Not today. Ptb, baby. Ptb. Let's see what we can do. I am not responsible for any salty boys, laggy boys, or dead boys throughout the entirety of the stream. Alright, what the fuck kind of a build is this? This shit, it never works how, like, while carrying a survivor, any other survivor within your tear radius suffer from the exposed status effect. People run straight into my fucking tear radius when I have Starstruck, and they're just like, eh, hold it. Now, look at the bottom, is why I say that. Starstruck has a cooldown of 60 seconds once a survivor is no longer carried. When a survivor is in your fucking hand, being carried, this perk states that they should be exposed if anybody else comes within your tear radius. It's a fucking lie. As soon as you're picking somebody up, the Starstruck hits. After that, they're free to get as close as they fucking want with you. When I'm a killer, Starstruck don't work right. When I'm a survivor and I approach somebody being carried by Starstruck, I always get Starstruck in one hit down. So I don't know what the fuck's going on with that particular perk, but it pisses me off. And every time I've had people walk in and try to body block me when I have Starstruck, I hit them and they just go scurrying away. And I'm like, bro, you're Starstruck. You should be down right now. The fuck do you mean? I do the shit and I just get downed. Like, as soon as I walk into the killer's tear radius, it's like, exposed. And I'm like, oh, funny. They can do it to me, but I can't do it to them. So, if there's an exploit about that shit or any further knowledge, please let me know, because I get tired of fucking Starstruck fucking me over. I mean, it's a good perk in what it does, but it needs to be clarified whether the entire time you're carrying somebody, people get exposed, or if it's only on pickup. God damn, that's tilting as fuck. Don't know why I have... Oh. I mean, Thrilling Tremors will let me know what gens they're working on, but that's not... Could use Overwhelming Presence. I'm joking. Hmm. You know what? Let's use Sloppy Butcher. It's got to be a basic attack. It can't be a lunge attack. But I'm fine with that. That'll give them the Hemorrhage and Mangled status effect. So I can pseudo Legion somebody if they're a very good looper. I can get that first hit. Dink! And then I can just dip. Overcharge. Eh. Monster Shrine. Eh. Monitor and Abuse. Make your choice. I could use me some make your choice. Fire Up gives me the speed to get away from hooks. Hmm. Fire up. I don't know. Well, I'm probably not even gonna find a damn match. Make your choice would be so good for this build, but I want to see the hemorrhage status effect as well. I'm gonna regret not using that there, but fuck it. Again, I played Ghostface for a little bit, but not for a long amount of time. I only have like 30 stacks here, 10, 9, 8 here. I mean, I ain't been leveling him up, obviously, but, you know, this is what I've gotten so far. These are all changed, too. Nice. I mean, I do have perks that aren't maxed out all the way, so... Fuck it, dude. Keep in mind that everything that I buy here doesn't transfer over to the regular game. So... it does not matter what I get or what I do. Bro, am I really gonna have to make this into a fucking Rocket League stream? Please. Please don't do this to me. I had my mind set to Dead by Daylight today, dude. No. At least give me one game. Alright, well, I'm launching the Rocket League in the fucking background, dude. God damn it. Maybe I'll talk about tactics or some other shit while I'm fucking, do a training map or something. I don't know. Man, I'm butthurt right now. I'm actually upset that I can't find the game. It's not even like crazy hours of the goddamn day. It's almost 5 o'clock my time. So, I mean, like, it's Friday. School should be out for the weekend. It's PTB time, you know? Like, people should be on. You'll hear Rocket League sounds in the background. I'm just looking up maybe a custom training pack or something that I can do. Speaking of, if you have any custom training packs that you particularly make, feel free to post a code or something in chat or ask me to do a custom training pack that you make. It can be fun, it can be easy, it can be challenging, it can be troll. I mean, please feel free to post and create custom training packs, or if you want to see me try and do like a pro training pack or something like that, please let me know so I can oblige. Because the only thing it's gonna do is end up increasing my skill set. The worst thing that happens. Okay. I pulled a custom map for my main account because I don't think I really have anything except for the double touch training pack on my other account. My computer's not liking the fact that I have multiple versions of Rocket League open at the moment. It's okay. That's why we upgraded to 32 gigabytes of RAM. So I can stream with Dead by Daylight open, 2 versions of Rocket League open, and Discord. That's what the RAM's for, brother. Like I said, my computer, I'm not gonna. Ooh, Unreal Engine 5 is here. Finally. They actually open sourced it. Okay. Only bad thing about Unreal Engine 5 is you're gonna have to pay a royalty if you use it. If they don't make you pay for it to get it all together, you have to pay royalties when you use Unreal Engine. That's kind of the whole caveat to that. Ba-bum, ba-bum, bum. I don't know. I don't see a price on it. They apparently are having a huge sale right now on assets in the marketplace for Unreal Engine 5. A lot of their assets that cost like $100 or so are now free at the moment. So if you were designing something via Unreal Engine 5, you might want to go check out some of those assets. These include like entire buildings and cities and crowds and all kinds of other crazy shit that they're showcasing with Unreal Engine 5. So, yeah, you might want to hop your ass on that goddamn train if you are a creator of any sort, or you're missing out on some good shit. I'm not making Rocket League maps or anything like that anymore, so I have no reason to, but other people will. Alright, Dead by Daylight has until I get this Rocket League open and this code in to work, or we're switching over to a Rocket League stream. Glad I never incorporated Twitch into this like I was going to. Alright, well, I'm gonna end stream, come back with Rocket League. Well, it's gonna end for you, it's not gonna end for me.